chanting over Saul and Jonathan a dirge entitled The Bow. 2 Sa 1. 17-27 King David showed special kindness to Jonathan's lame son Mephibosheth, who was 5 years old at his father's death. He eventually had a permanent place at the king's table. 2 Sa 4. 4. 9. 10-13 Jonathan's line continued for generations. 1 Ch 8. 33-40. 3. The son of high priest Abiathar and one who served as a courier when David fled Jerusalem during Absalom's revolt, but who apparently later sided with rebellious Adonijah. Jonathan's father Abiathar traveled with David when the future king was outlawed by Saul, and later he was made high priest. At the time of Absalom's usurpation, David sent Abiathar and Zadok back to the capital so they could supply information. Abiathar's priestly son Jonathan is here first brought into the biblical account. He and Ahimaaz the son of Zadok were to carry vital messages from their fathers and from Hushai to David. 2 Sa 15. 27-29, 36 The two couriers could not enter the city without being recognized, so they waited at a spring or well named Unrogel near the city. When Absalom seemed to accept Hushai's counsel, word was sent to the two waiting messengers, Jonathan and Ahimaaz. They sped to convey word to the king. Spotted and pursued, they were almost apprehended. With the help of a woman, they hid in a well until the danger was past and then went to David and advised him to cross over the Jordan. 2 Sa 17. 15-22. In David's closing days his son Adonijah conspired to become king instead of Solomon, and Abiathar linked up with him. Perhaps being influenced by his father's lead, Jonathan evidently defected to the side of Adonijah. It was Jonathan who brought to the banqueting usurper the disquieting news that David had foiled the plot by making Solomon the king. The Bible does not say anything further about Jonathan. He may have shared his father's banishment, but whatever occurred, the office of high priest did not continue in his family. 1 Chi 1. 41-43. 2. 26-27. 4. Nephew of King David who struck down a giant who taunted Israel at Gath. 2 Sa 21. 20-21. 1 Ch 20. 6, 7 This Jonathan is listed as the son of King David's brother Shimea, or Shimei. Since there is a Jehonadab mentioned at 2 Samuel 13. 3 as the son of David's brother Shimea, some commentators feel that the same individual is intended. See Jehonadab number 1. 5. One of David's mighty men of the military forces. He was the son of Shagi the Hararite. 2 Sa 23. 8-32. 1 Ch 11. 26-34. 6. The son of Uzziah, in charge of King David's treasures in the field, in the cities and in the villages and in the towers, as distinct from the king's treasures in Jerusalem. 1 Ch 27. 25 Jonathan is mentioned after royal treasurer as Mavith and before those responsible to care for specific assignments such as the vineyards or the olive groves. 1 Ch 27. 25-28. 7. A man of understanding, a secretary and a counselor for King David. 1 Ch 27. 32 In the Masoretic text Jonathan's relationship to David is indicated by the Hebrew word dod, which generally means uncle. But in view of 2 references in the scriptures to a nephew of David named Jonathan, it is likely that the word is here used in the wider sense of relative, here being brother's son or nephew. Ro. As, ftn. In W would thus be the same as no. 4. 8. One of the military chiefs in the field when Nebuchadnezzar conquered Jerusalem in 607 BCE, a son of Kareah and brother of Johanan. After Gedaliah had been put in charge of the people left in the land, Jonathan and the other military leaders from the field went to him and were reassured of safety. Jah 40. 7-10 Evidently Jonathan was also among those who delivered to Gedaliah the Otextoi acute Miritra Longo, Joppa 104:14. Son of Shemaiah of the family of Asaph and father of Zechariah, a priestly trumpeter in the procession that marched upon the rebuilt wall of Jerusalem. Ne 12. 31, 35, 36. Joppa Joppa beautiful pretty city. an ancient seaport about 55 kilometers 34 mi WNW of Jerusalem. Modern Yafa Arabic, Jaffa. Merged with Tel Aviv in 1950 and now called Tel Aviv Yafa occupies the ancient site. The city is situated on a rocky hill rising to a height of about 35 meters 115 feet. Its harbour, the only natural one between Mount Carmel and the border of Egypt, is formed by a low ledge of rocks about 100 meters 330 feet from the coast. The harbour may be entered either through a narrow gap in the rocky ledge or at the open but shallow north end. Roxburgh access from the south. Joppa was on the border of Dan's original territory, although not necessarily a part of it. Joes 19. 40, 41, 46 however, Judges 5. 17 associates Dan with ships, and this may imply that the Danites actually controlled the seaport of Joppa. In view of King Solomon's extensive commercial intercourse with other nations 1 Kai 10. 22, 28, 29, likely the harbour facilities at Joppa were improved. It was to Joppa that the Tyrians floated rafts of timber from the forests of Lebanon, to be used in temple construction. 2ch2. 16 later, the prophet Jonah, seeking to flee from his assignment, boarded a ship at Joppa to go to Tarshish. John 1. 3 After the Babylonian exile, Joppa again served as the harbour for receiving cedar timbers from Lebanon for use in temple rebuilding. S3. 7. In the 1st century CE a Christian congregation existed at Joppa. Dorcas Tabitha, a woman abounding in good deeds and gifts of mercy, was associated with that congregation. Upon her death Peter came from nearby Lydda on request, and he subsequently resurrected Dorcas. As news of this miracle spread throughout Joppa, many became believers. Act 9. 36-42 For quite a few days, Peter stayed at Joppa, being entertained by a certain Simon, a tanner, who had his house by the sea. Act 9. 43. 10. 6 It was on the roof of Simon's house that Peter, while in a trance, received divine revelation concerning the propriety of preaching to non-Jews, just in time to receive the messengers from the Gentile Cornelius. Consequently, Peter did not hesitate to go to Caesarea with these messengers. Also, 6 Jewish brothers, apparently from Joppa, accompanied him. Act 10. 9-45. 11. 5-14. Jorah. Seharib. Jerai. A Gadolite living in Bashan, a descendant of Abiel. 1ch5. 11, 13, 14. Joram shortened form of Jehoram, meaning Jehovah is high exalted. 1. Son of King Tyre of Hamath. Joram was sent with costly gifts made of gold, silver, and copper, along with his father's congratulations, to King modern-day port of Yafa Joppa. In this city Peter was given a vision that prepared him to preach to Gentiles. Jordan 105 David, when the latter defeated Hadadezer the king of Zobah. David, in turn, accepted and sanctified the gifts to Jehovah. 2-8. 5, 9-11 In a parallel account Joram's name is spelled Vadoram. 1ch18. 9-11. 2. A descendant of Levite Eleazar, Maz's son. He apparently lived when David was king. 1ch26. 24, 25. X18. 2-4. 3. King of Israel for 12 years. Son of Ahab. Usually he is identified by the longer form of his name, Jehoram. 2 Kai 3. 1 Only in 3 chapters do we find the short form in the Masoretic text. 2 Kai 8. 16, FTN, 17-29. 9. 14, FTN, 15-29. 2ch22. 5, FTN, 6, 7. CG Horam No. 2. 4. King of Judah for 8 years. Son of Jehoshaphat. The Masoretic text has his name at times in the short form. 2 Kai 8. 21, 23, 24. 11. 2. 1ch3. 11, ft, and the shortened form is also found in the Westcott and Greek text, but a few translations give assistance in understanding by rendering the full name. Mount 1. 8, NW, Sawyer, TC, we. CG Horam No. 3. Jordan. The main river of the Promised Land, forming a natural border between most of E and W Palestine. Jos 22. 25. Anciently the Jordan proper began its course upon its exit from the Hula Basin, a swamp area and lake now drained. The area of the Hula Basin is characterized by numerous watercourses, the sources of the Jordan. The three principal streams that form the Jordan, from E to W, are the Nabanias Nihal Herman, the Nahar el-Edan Nihal Dan, and the Nahaspani Nihal Senir. The Yarmouk and the Jabbok are the Jordan's main tributaries from the E to D. Most of the Jordan is a very muddy stream. Upon emerging from the Hula Basin, the Jordan flows somewhat peacefully for about 3 kilometers to me, but then rushes through basalt gorges on its way to the Sea of Galilee. From the southern end of the Sea of Galilee, the Jordan snakes its way to the Dead Sea for some 320 kilometers 200 mi, although the airline distance is only about 105 kilometers 65 mi. Picture, Volume 1, p. 334. Within a distance of some 16 kilometers 10 mi between the Hula Basin and the Sea of Galilee, the Jordan falls some 270 meters 890 feet. As it continues its course from the Sea of Galilee to the Dead Sea, the Jordan forms 27 cascading rapids and drops about 180 meters 590 feet more. Below the Sea of Galilee, the Jordan flows through a valley measuring some 6 to 13 kilometers 3.5 to 8 mi across. But at Jericho this valley has a width of about 22 kilometers 14 mi. It is through the valley's lower level with a width of about 0.5 to 3 kilometers 0.3 to 2 mi, that the Jordan turns and twists through dense thickets of thorns and thistles, vines and bushes, oleanders, tamarisks, willows, and poplars. Anciently, lions roamed in the proud thickets along the Jordan. J 49. 19. 50. 44. Zek 11.